How do you know you're right? And how do you have such conviction? Where does that stem from?
Well, we don't know we're right. That's why it's faith. But everybody lives by faith and belief.
Sure.
Even the most ardent scientists live by many rules of faith and belief. I mean, they need constants going into their experiments, right? They're going to believe in those constants before they start their experiments. Well, that's faith right there. So we don't have certainty or proof. There's next to nothing in this life that you can truly prove. That's why we go by the evidence. That's why the militant atheist who says, oh, faith is just, begins where reason leaves off, is completely wrong. There's a faith statement within that they're making because they can't prove what they're saying there. So you can't prove if there is a God and you can't prove if there is no God. But we live by the conviction of how we live, how we think, what our relationships, why is loving at the center of our existence if we've just evolved red in tooth and claw? That doesn't make any sense. There's a spiritual existence. As a mental health therapist, I talk with people endlessly, even if they're atheists, about a spiritual realm. Everybody believes in that now to some extent. So we have convictions, but we don't have proof. But it's back to Jack. I find Jack very interesting when he talked about how he's a good guy. Well, how do you know you're a good guy? People define that differently in every kind of way. But then I love that you said I live by Christian principles. So you're kind of a cultural Christian. And so you're well on your way, even though you're questioning, is Jesus the way, the truth, and the life? So we don't live by certainty, but how do you act? Why do we live by these Christian principles, all of us seemingly?
This might sound stupid, but in terms of proof, what about existence of dinosaurs and showing dinosaur bones and things like this?
That doesn't contradict the Bible at all. The Bible never answers the question, are there dinosaurs? The Bible never answers the question, is North America in real geography? The Bible never answers the question, is there Australia? So you can't argue from silence. When a text is silent, you have to respect the silence of the text, and there's no talking about dinosaurs in the Bible, so therefore it would be dishonest for me to say, oh, the Bible does say there are dinosaurs, or for somebody else to say the Bible contradicts scientific evidence that there is dinosaurs, because the Bible does nothing of the sort.